Welcome back, you guys. This is Mark with Ncengravers, and today we're going to be working on the Canik MC9. Very, very interesting. I know there's been an absolute ton of you guys that are like, man, when are you going to offer this? And I'm guessing, judging by the picture that was on the video, or maybe pictures you've seen on our Instagram or our Facebook, then you know barrel porting is now an option. I want to take you guys through that a little bit more. I want to kind of get you the whole storyline of how did we get to this point and why we were reserved about doing it. So there's kind of a story here. So we had a local customer come by to pick up a different project. We got talking. He said, hey, I've got an MC9. I may be thinking about getting the window service done. And really, he kind of, I think, just wanted to pick my brain on, are we going to be doing other things? What options are available? Is there upcoming stuff that's available? That kind of stuff. And we kind of went down through that path, and I said, what do you think about porting it, And he was like, well, one, I didn't know it was offered. I see you guys do it on the rivals and of course the TPs, but I just didn't know it was offered. And I said, well, we've never done an MC9. We as a business have always stayed away from that because there have been several issues with the weapon when they came out. I do believe that there's a lot of corrections that have already taken place, and I think that maybe those days have come and gone, which is really super cool for the people that own them. And they're not having any issues with them. So some of the concerns and questions I had for the customer was, how many rounds have you shot through it, right? So it's always one of those, hey, I don't want to take a gun in that's got an issue. I understand that maybe a mag or two is one thing, but how many rounds have you actually shot through the gun? And it was 2,800. So there has been a significant amount of ammo shot through this gun. And yes, this weapon did have issues out of the box, which they have corrected. And some of that was just, the barrel needed some tweaking and some tuning. Of course, they've gone back through and done some polishing work and some things like that. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the way that it looks after 2,800 rounds as somewhat of a daily carry type of a weapon. So, it felt like an opportunity. It felt like a one of those deals where, because the customer is local, if there was some sort of an issue, we'd be able to work through that, whether we just, replace the gun, or do we buy a barrel, do we move the money that was for porting into some other cut work. Like, there's lots of options of how to solve this. What I can tell you is, as a company, we're not really the guy who puts our customer into a bad position and is like, oh, sorry, oh, well. Like, that's not really us. We would go down the path of treating how we want to be treated. That's just kind of how I was raised and taught, and that's kind of how it is now, right? I mean, if mistakes happen and something was to go down where the weapon didn't function, the number one thing is, how do we get back to replacing a part, right? Because that's what I would want. Of course, that's what you would want. So with that being said, that's a lot of times why we wouldn't take something like this online. We've got a lot of pretty heavy followers when it comes to the Canik line. We are pretty active on Reddit. Of course, we've got a lot of YouTube videos that are out, and we do see a lot of projects come through the door that are in the Canik lineup, even though we offer services on a range of weapons. So it really did turn out being one of those deals where when somebody's local, sometimes they become the first to have an opportunity because there is the ability to work through some sort of an issue if there is an issue. So first of all, thank you to the customer for allowing us to take that in as an unknown project. And second, it's an opportunity for the both of us to extend our services and for them to, to be the first. Guys, let's talk about the porting. Let's talk about what is the plan here. As far as the porting goes, my concerns have always been, outside of the reliability of the weapon, has always been, how would it go down? How would this porting actually work? We have done porting on other small weapons. We currently offer on the P365 or in the X model. Excuse me. We also offer it on some of the other short stuff that's out there, like the 43X or 43 models. So it's not new to us porting short guns. Also, it's not new to the industry, right? So I know we hear that a lot from people, and they go, well, I don't know, it's so short. Why would you want to port it? Or are you going to lose so much velocity? Is it going to be an issue? Magnaport's been doing small guns for, I don't know, decades now. There's a Shield PC model out with a pretty short barrel that's got two sort of rice. I call them like a rice grain design port, which is like a 11-in-1, 10-in-2 type of porting. These are fairly large holes in specifically a very small barrel, right? So this isn't new to the industry. We do still see porting on the market for the Hellcats. So Kind of with that being said, you know, I don't see why the MC9 would fall any different as far as functionality goes. I'm just not seeing that. If you guys do want to know more about velocity loss and things like that, I would encourage you to go watch some of the tried and true testers of YouTube who actually will run the ammo through chronographs and give you results back and things like that. And then you are able to make your own decision on what you want to do. Single top window. So what's going to happen here? We're going to run a single top window. One of the issues we run into with our style of porting, because the way we've designed it, is the ports don't just come straight out the top. They appear that way in the barrel, but they actually lean forward. They actually lean like this. So when we cut into the barrel, our porting, we do cut in at a specific angle, and that allows the gas to come out at a specific angle, which in return gives us a redirection of gas for the climbing of the weapon. And of course, we're also losing pressure inside of the barrel itself, right? Because the bullet hasn't exited the barrel like we would see with some sort of a end of slide comp or an attached comp, right? So we do see the benefits of two different things built into one. The downside is that yes, it does lean towards the front sight. The gas leans that way. It goes outward and upward. And there is a possibility that the front sight could turn black. So in the future, if we do significantly more of these, we may make a recommendation on a front sight that's just an all black sight. Of course, these are the factory steel sights. I mean, this could just be blacked out and ran that way. I can tell you that I would not recommend a night sight or a fiber optic sight, because more than likely it's gonna be black, right? So those are that's kind of sort of the trade-off for what it is, right? Of course, you could always just pull the sight and run an optic if you want. You've got options, you know, whatever fits your needs best. So that's one of my concerns is that, or I guess it's more of a warning to you guys that are having that done. Aside from that, this happens to be a peanut butter FDE gun, as they call it. With that being said, we've got a base and a mag extension type deal here, and these two will get recoated. Now, we're not going to be doing them in this color. We did talk to the customer about a suggestion, and that is going to be Patriot Brown. So we're going to run Patriot Brown on the slide, we're going to run Patriot Brown on the extension, and then we do happen to have the frame here all at the same time. So in the end, you are going to get to see a full build of what does it look like with an FDE frame, being a factory FDE gun, and then maybe what your options are if you want to move into a different color, right? So how do those kind of play together and things like that. So guys, at this point, what we're going to do is take you to the CNC machine. I don't know how much we're going to get into the laser. I do know it can be difficult when we get into the laser portion of the filming. My phone and the camera doesn't want to focus because it's super bright and then it's super dark and things like that. So I don't know how much of the laser part we will see in the video. What I will tell you is I will do my best to show as much as I can show when the content looks, you know, presentable. So that's kind of how that's going to be. The barrel will go back to black, so we will end up sandblasting the barrel. It will go to black. The slide, once again, will be Patriot Brown on this guy back here. I'm not sure what we're doing on the cover plate. I think we're going to be matching it to the slide. We'll find that out. But let's just see what happens. Let's build this out, and let's talk about it in the end. I'm going to give you my opinion about what I think, maybe changes that could be made, if it's a perfected design, or what direction we may take if we were going to make some changes to it in the future. This is the first one, so obviously things can change. Guys, let's see what we come up with. Alright guys, now that we have completed the work, we've added some color to the slide and to the other parts of this project. Let's just kind of take a look at it. I know there wasn't a lot of cut work going on in this project, but it was precision work and it was important work for what we're trying to accomplish here. So single top window, we ended up adding that a little bit further back so that gas won't directly hit that front sight. I do think we're still going to get some on there, but only over time, and getting some results based off of how it performs will determine how bad that gets. And but overall, you know, we made a window that would support the optic cut itself. We added a chamfer around that window, so that way it's not just a straight down cut, but it does look a little bit more fancy. Let's take a look at the barrel itself. So the barrel does get a whole new coating. We would do the porting, then we would sandblast, and then once it's been sandblasted, we would do a brand new coating on there. That way it doesn't rust. One of the things I want to show you is the ports itself. So let's go into that a little bit more here. And it's going to be a little hard to tell. I'm going to see if I can add another video here that will kind of show these ports and how they're cut at an angle a little bit better. So once again, we've discussed this in a lot of our other videos. Once, you know, watch the Glock video. If you really want the total overview of our porting, that was the one dedicated video that we had done that on. And we would encourage you to watch that. I'll tag it at the end of this video. It'll help explain it a little bit better, and then you won't have to hunt and peck for that video. But the idea is that the ports don't just come straight up. They do come at an angle, and I can show you that a little bit better here with a light. So if we put this down here like this, we can't see any light, right? That's because the idea is they're not coming out that way. So we would have to turn this. There you go. You can kind of see, for us to get that angle, we're pretty steep here. Basically, the idea is that the gas is coming up and out of those ports at a very specific angle. We've designed it that way to work in conjunction with the way in which the slide reciprocates. So the idea is that we're not only losing pressure as the round goes down range, we're also redeflecting gas to basically combat the muzzle rise, right? So these are all things that are working together, you know, as a pair. So we're not just releasing gas and hoping it works. We're not just taking a comp like at the end of a slide that you'd put with a threaded barrel and redirecting gas. We're collecting it on both sides of that, giving us the best possible outcome. Let's take a look and see what it looks like here once we put it in. I think it's a really cool look. Once again, so the idea here is we've created a window and then we've moved the ports a little bit further back. We do try to give us more area between this port and the front window because we don't want any gas to get up underneath the slide. We're not trying to rupture a slide or anything like that. So we do want to make sure that we're doing a port that's large enough in the slide to accommodate the barrel porting. And of course, typically we would see where there's more of a gap between the front wall and the front port because everything is leaning this way. So we don't really get that with here. This port can actually even be moved a little bit further back because the gas is coming out, you know, over in this section, not straight up. So really interesting, guys. What I'm going to do now is just kind of set this down. I want to show you guys the mag extension, then I'm going to put it together. So we ended up doing Patriot Brown on the extension for the bottom, so I think that's going to look really cool. Let's go ahead and put this together. I am working behind the camera, so I'm going to do my best to try to show you what it looks like and not destroy anything. All right. Of course, this is empty. That is what we have as a full picture, sort of as a full build here. I really like this setup. I think it's I like, not only do I like the barrel porting because it looks so factory-ish, right? We don't have things sticking out the end of the gun. We don't have to worry about cracking free a comp to take a barrel off to clean a barrel, or even if you were to get to that aspect in time where you wanted to color a part, you know, a lot of companies are going to say you need to break that comp free before you send it in, or I'll do it and I won't, you know, I'm not going to warranty it or repair or replace it if I damage it, because there are a lot of different ways in which a comp can be installed, with whether that's over tightened, over torqued, whether it's red Loctite, or if it's an aluminum comp on a steel barrel, they may seize together. So a lot of times that's a conflict in itself. But with a setup like this, you're able to get the barrel porting. You could still run a different barrel if you wanted. If there was something a little bit more fancy you wanted to run, you could you know, just bag this, take it to the range, and shoot it when you want, and you could run your other barrel if you're looking for some sort of other style or an appearance or something. Also, I really do like the two-tone, which is the Patriot Brown, the factory grip module, and then of course we have in the end we have Patriot Brown on the extension. So now you guys know, I'll include some pictures. Overall, I think it's going to be, you know, a really popular thing for people that want to make a change to their weapon, but they don't want to get into, you know, different holsters because now my gun's longer because I've got a comp, or I've got to hunt down a barrel and a comp. Like, you have everything from the factory that came with your gun to process this order, and it's fairly inexpensive for what it is, considering you're not buying any other parts. You're not waiting for something to come in. You're not hoping something works. Guys, one of the things I will tell you about this, one of the disclaimers I want to kind of give you, one of the things I want to just touch base on is, make sure if you buy a weapon like this and you're thinking about having something like this done, that you take a little bit of time and you fire that weapon and you test cycle that weapon before you send it in. I say that because if you get it back and you have an issue with it, and you didn't shoot it. We don't know whether that issue came from the weapon itself, like right out of the box, because these have been noted to run with problems, brand new, or if it was something that has caused this problem, right? So it's really hard to tell at that point what's going on here. The only way you would honestly be able to tell is to, switch the barrel and run the gun. If you switch the barrel and run the gun, then the gun has no problem with the replacement barrel or the secondary barrel. Then it's, we could point the finger and say, hey, we've got a barrel problem, right? If you put another barrel in it and you run it and it still has problems, it's got absolutely nothing to do with the porting. And that's exactly what would happen if you sent the gun back to us for us to test it. We're going to put a brand new barrel in it. We're going to run it. And then if it works, then, hey, maybe there's an issue with the porting. We're going to try your ported barrel into a different gun and see what's going on if they just don't like each other. If it doesn't work, then sort of not my problem. The gun doesn't work anyhow. So I would encourage you to make sure you don't have any issues before you get to that point. Once again, this weapon is fairly tried and true. 2,800 rounds through it before we did anything. Very good baseline of, hey, we've got a problem. Something we did has caused an issue. I don't anticipate we're going to see that. I say that because we've done P365s. We've done a lot of short weapons out on the market with porting, right? We've done tons of Glock 43s and 43Xs. Same style of porting, right? It's a 3-port top. So I don't see us running that issue, but I would encourage you to, when you get it back, run some 124 grain. That would be the most common for ported guns, right? That's a good starting point. Then run some 115s, or if you want, you could run some 135 plus Ps or 147s, whatever you want to do. You could go to the short side of it. You could go to a 90, I guess, or a 95. However, the 124 is what we would test these with typically, because that is sort of an industry standard, not just among us, but among most barrel companies that are porting. They're always kind of like run your some MagTech 124s and see what you get, and then move on from there. The gun may need a little bit of a break-in period between porting, between springs, between new coatings. These are things that could cause issues in the first, 100 rounds or so. And if you're running with an ammo that should be somewhat tried and true, then, that's a good way to break the gun in and then move forward with seeing how the rest of it works. One of the other things we would encourage you to do is just follow along. If you like the video, it goes a long way for you to give us a thumbs up. It helps our channel. It lets other people find us, and it also encourages us to make more videos. There's been a lot of times that we've done, projects that we've just ported guns and done things, and we've posted them, and they've been available for a service. However, we never talked about them. We never really told you our thought process or where we were going along with that. And it's not just porting, but it's other guns that are out there, windows, serrations, knurling, framework. And really what it's just come down to is if it seems like there's an interest in it, we will take a little bit, more time, and we'll slow down a little bit to explain it a little bit better for those new people, or maybe because it is a new service, people want to know a little bit more about it and why we're doing it. So with that being said, if you do like the content, we would encourage you to like the video. Over time, if you've been watching any of our old stuff, we used to have a lot of content, audio content, or different songs that would play during the cut period. We've removed a lot of those because a lot of it just kind of sucked at taking money out of the YouTube channel. Right now, I think we're at like $30 a month. I mean, we don't make barely anything to do YouTube videos, right? And a lot of that is because anytime audio is used, it goes to the creator of that audio, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, because you can make a 50-minute video with a 3-minute song, and every bit of that revenue would go to the audio creator, which, it should be some sort of divided or shared profits, I think. With that being said, so we've really cut out a lot of the audio. I know there's some free stuff out there. We might look into it. If you have a suggestion, feel free to leave a link in the YouTube video, or send an email and say, hey, you should use this audio. It's free. So it's a little dry, I guess, is the best way to say that. As far as the cutting content goes, we're just listening to machines run and things like that. But with that being said, we are trying to get to a point where maybe the YouTube channel can make more sense if it's generating more revenue. Otherwise, we're just building videos, hopefully, to encourage you to understand what you're ordering as a service. But if it's something we've already done, or we've done a lot of it, it's really hard for us to spend the time to make a YouTube video when
there's no financial gain there, and we've already seen it, right? We're kind of just doing double work and there's no value. So, you know, we're trying to work through that a little bit more. That's one of the reasons why we haven't put a lot of stuff out on YouTube over the last, 6 to 8 months. Of course, we moved, but that's one of the reasons we've kind of just steered clear of it, because, it's a lot of extra work when we're already busy and there's no revenue, basically, to justify the work involved. So liking the channel, sharing the content, writing comments, those are things that help us out. Instagram is definitely the place to be. You probably have already seen this posted on there, maybe even on the Canik Reddit page. A lot of times YouTube is the last place something ends up getting turned up, just because it's the slowest to process. We have to get all the way to the end of a project in order to actually post it, right? This as a service will be listed on our webpage before the video even comes out, right? So on all of our service pages, for the big stuff like this, there usually is a video dedicated to what is it. So if you want to go to one of the other barrel portings like the Glock, you can click on the Glock porting and there's a video that brings you to our YouTube that explains it. So there's a lot of them. The same thing with like the TP9 optic cut. We get a lot of requests and a lot of questions about the optic cuts on there and what do we offer and why do we offer. There's a dedicated video, so if you want to know, some of the videos are several years old, but the guns haven't changed, and a lot of times neither have the optics. So you can go through the thought process of what's going on. Same thing with the Glock MOS and plate systems, and which is the Holosun SCS. We have dedicated stuff that's for that to help you guys out and to help you understand a little bit better. There's more to this, right? So the idea here is the owner of this weapon is going to do us some videos. That was one of the things that I wanted to include in here. I thought it would be something that would put your mind at ease as far as how does it work, what can we expect, things like that. Now, I don't have any control over how those videos are going to go down. I don't know if we're going to run certain ammo, if we're going to do it at certain angles. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I know there's always going to be that guy that's like, what about point of impact? How many feet were you shooting at? Was it inside? Was it outside? Did you have sunglasses on? Was it an overcast day? What was the humidity? Like, there's always going to be that guy who's going to ask questions. At this point in time, we are after functionality, maybe that's the right word, testing, and making sure things are going through. If something looks like it stands out, we're going to address it. We're going to talk about it, right? So the idea is we're getting through some of the, I would say, the hiccups or the initial setups of a new design. Once again, I don't anticipate we're going to run into any issues, but there is always that guy who's, how many feet per second did you lose? Well, buddy, there's like 18,000 different 9mm rounds that are out there. Like seriously. So, you want to go all the way back to ball ammo from 1960, or should we just be testing with stuff from 2004 that's military grade that came from Russia? Like what? So the point being made is we're not going to cater to every single comment. If you want to do your own independent testing after you know that it runs like it's supposed to, have the service done. It doesn't cost that much money. Do your independent testing. Maybe it's something that we'll buy back from you, or maybe it's something that you can put out into the market and help other people. Maybe it'll help your YouTube channel if you want to put one out. The point being made is that as a small company like this, we're not in the business for only doing one service. We do a lot of services, and if the gun runs, the gun runs, right? I don't care if we lost 1 foot per second or 17. At the end of the day, it's not really going to make any difference when you could have just went from a round that was shooting, X amount of feet per second to one that was a little hotter at 100 more feet per second and made up the difference in loss. Like, there's ways around things. There's problems with everything, but there's ways to correct things. I know it seems like I'm going off here on a little bit, guys, but that's what we run into. We run into the doubters who then we somehow need to prove the fact about every single thing when there's unlimited variables. And even if you did prove it, there'd be more variables because there's more ammo, there's more conditions that you could be shooting in.
All right, how's it going, guys? So here I'm going to talk about some upgrades I did to my MC9. First we'll do is just make sure it's unloaded. Nothing in there, nothing in there, good to go. So what I had done here is I had this sent to Mark over at Ncengravers. Had a couple things done by him. He does wonderful work. But what we did was, this is the first Canik Mate MC9 where we did barrel porting, as you can see. This will be the first one he's done thus far. A lot of it is because, as a lot of people know, this was a problem child in the beginning. And if I'm being honest, so was this one. I had done a few things to it, a couple little tricks, a couple little changes. Didn't change anything really internally besides the Freedom Smith trigger. but I did a bunch of little upgrades, and then I was able to get over 2,000 rounds consecutively through the gun reliably with all different types of ammo. So one of the things I really love that Mark does there is he takes kind of a minimalistic approach to his porting. You can tell by the craftsmanship that he does that he thinks about a lot of stuff before he does it. And I feel like our brains kind of work similar in the sense that, like, if you look at the ports here, so you get closer, they're not just drilled straight through or lasered straight through. What you can tell is that it's kind of like a half moon shape, but it's also angled a little bit. So in theory, at least what I think, is every time the gas escapes those ports, not only is it coming up and it's going straight out, it's also going this way. So the way I think about it is not only is it going to keep the muzzle down, but it's going to kind of keep it back. And I think that's kind of ingenious. And what we'll do is we'll take a better look at the barrel itself and see what he did. So you can see here in the barrel, you got those 3 ports. And I was actually kind of shocked that he got 3. It's a very small barrel, and when we first talked, we were like, oh, you know, it'd be 2 ports, but he was able to get 3. And I think it looks really sleek. Also, we kind of did a custom Cerakote. This was a full flat dark earth initially, and we did kind of a coyote brown on the upper, on the slide here, and it came out immaculate. It just looks really, really good. I can't thank Mark enough. I think that him and his wife have a really good thing going there over at Ncengravers. But what we're going to do today is we're going to get some videos. We're going to go to the range. I'm going to fire 3 different weight bullets through it. We're going to start with 115. We're going to then do with the Canik 124 recommendations, and then we're going to do 147. My plan is to do a side-by-side comparison with a stock one to the ported one. It's going to be 5 rounds of 115, then 5 rounds of 124, 5 rounds of 147, go alternating back and forth. And then I will do full magazines in the ported mine with full magazine of 115, full magazine of 147, full magazine of 124 as well. But we'll see how it goes and make sure everything kind of feeds through it. I haven't had an issue when it was stock, and we'll kind of see how it goes. So let's head to the range. Alright guys, well, just got back from the range with the MC9, and I gotta say, I couldn't be more pleased. What we'll do is we'll safety check this. Nothing there. Empty. Empty. Yeah, so if you watched the other video, you saw that I went and I compared it shooting a unported MC9 against the ported MC9. And I am thoroughly pleased. Really, I felt a 10%, 15% reduction in felt recoil. Not only in muzzle rise, but just recoil in general. Showed a couple of the guys who also have these at the range. They are also just as blown away by how well this looks with the minimalistic aspect of these ports. It felt really, really good. It ran through everything like you can see in the video. I did a second video of doing full magazines of 115, 124, 147. It takes it all. Yeah, if you're gonna want to have something done like this, go get a hold of Mark, give him a call, give him an email, shoot him an email. Really wonderful people. Him and his wife have a great thing going. Honestly, the only downside, which I wouldn't even consider it a downside, is if you look, it's gonna really kind of paint your front dot with carbon, but that doesn't really bother me any because I'm gonna put another red dot on this. I had a 407 on it, took it off. I'm probably gonna put the EPS carry on it. But yeah, it ran like a champ and it felt really good. These Mateys don't really have as much recoil as like a P365 or a 43X in my opinion, but this one was, it definitely took some of the recoil down. It felt really good in the hand. It felt really fun to shoot, and it was a lot of fun. One thing I do want to say though is if you're ever going to have something done to this, to your pistol like I did, please go out and shoot it first. Let's not shoot it and then send it to him, and if God forbid if you have an issue with anything, then you just know it's good to go. So if you have any questions, feel free to hit me in the comments. Like I said, I'm thoroughly pleased with it. Could not be happier. Love the minimalistic look of the ports. It runs really good, and like I said, if you want any type of custom work done, just go hit Mark an email, send Mark an email. He's super easy to deal with, and they do unbelievable work at Ncengravers. All right, guys, really appreciate it. Thanks.